Quarantine has left me with a lot of free time. I've kept up with many things: my homework and online classes, the shows I started a while, and the latest season of my favorite YouTube show, BuzzFeed Unsolved. I was having trouble deciding what I wanted to do for this speech until I was talking about the last episode of this BuzzFeed Unsolved season with Andrew. That's when it hit. I could tell you about the most mind-blowing unsolved case. Listen closely as I tell you all the grisly details of the murder of the Black Dahlia. Born July 29th, 1924 in Medford, Massachusetts, Elizabeth Short is described by her classmates as a porcelain doll with beautiful eyes, and always friendly, and never at a loss of words. In the year 1943, Short moved to Vallejo, California. On September 23rd of that same year, she had a run-in with the law because someone called the cops on her for being too rowdy. This run-in with the law caused Short to be sent back to Medford, Massachusetts, and shortly after being sent home, Elizabeth returned to California, this time Hollywood. Now let's move into what you really came to hear: the death of Elizabeth Short. While out on a walk, a mother and her child found a woman's naked body sliced clean in half on a vacant lot. The body was thought to be a mannequin because there was no blood at the scene, and with the help of the FBI, the LAPD was able to identify Elizabeth Short's body in 56 minutes and provide a previous mugshot to the press. The autopsy of the Black Dahlia concluded that Short ultimately died of hemorrhage and shock. There was also marks on her legs, wrist, neck, and right thigh from being bound and tortured. Slits at the corners of her mouth were made when she was alive, and a concussion suggested that blows were made to her head. The cuts were so clean, someone with surgical skills was responsible for the murder of Elizabeth Short. 9 days after the body was found, an envelope arrived at the LA Examiner's office. Inside the envelope was this note and Short's belongings, such as her social security card, her birth certificate, and address books, all wiped clean of fingerprints with gasoline. As I said, clean cuts led professionals to believe the murderer had surgical skills. I want to tell you about the main suspect of this case. Dr. George Hodel came under scrutiny when he molested his daughter, Tamar. This molestation case led the LAPD to include Hodel in the list of suspects. To see if Hodel would say anything about the murder, the LAPD put him under surveillance from February 18, 1950 to March 27, 1950. On February 19, 1950, Hodel said 3 horrific things. 1. Woman screamed. Woman screamed again. 2. Realized there was nothing I could do. Put a pillow over her head and cover her with a blanket. They thought there was something fishy. Anyway, now they may have figured it out. Killed her. And 3. Supposing I did kill the Black Dahlia. They couldn't prove it now. They can't talk to my secretary anymore because she's dead. The events of the second quote was the events after an unsuccessful abortion. The secretary of the third quote died of a drug overdose and was later found to have been planning to blackmail Hodel into coming forward about misdiagnosing patients and billing them for unnecessary lab tests, medical treatments, and prescriptions. Of the people who believe George Hodel to be the murderer, his own son believes this true. When Steve Hodel investigated the murder of Elizabeth Short, he concluded that Short was one of Hodel's girlfriends. He also concluded Hodel spent time at the Biltmore Hotel, where Elizabeth Short was dropped off before she went missing. A nude photo of Elizabeth and another model, later identified as Maddie Comfort, was retrieved by the LAPD. While others knew of an association between George Hodel and Elizabeth Short, Maddie Comfort said she didn't know anything about this acquaintance. Rudolph Walters also said he had never seen the two together. In 1999, George Hodel died. In 2003, Steve Hodel wrote and published Black Dahlia Avenger, A Genius for Murder, where he claims that his father is the murderer. In 2019, Patty Jenkins created the show I Am the Night, which looks into the story of Fauna Hodel, the child of Tamar Hodel and her father George. With so many fingers pointed to George Hodel, the murder was never solved, so the murder of the Black Dahlia will forever remain infamously unsolved.